Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Bayou Ballers podcast. All our people who are watching and looking at this on Twitter and YouTube, welcome. Um, I'm your host, Tay Visuals, and that is my co-host over there that y'all see. Trey, all the way in Texas. How your week been, bro? We here on this Friday. We didn't do a Friday one in a good minute.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, it's good, bro. It is Friday.
Mm.
Christmas around the corner, so some of the gifts been coming in,
Mhm.
and then we getting ready to do some Secret Santa stuff. So I got me a good person that their Secret Santa, I guess. So I got this stuff in, so I hope
Okay.
they like what I got them. So.
Okay, for sure. Any present that you've been wanting this year, for yourself, that's not for the house, something just for you that
Bruh,
you.
honestly, I just want 2K and some other the game, and I'll be fine. Like
Okay.
that's my little piece when I get home and
Mhm.
just need time to myself. Just hop in front of that PS5. So, what about you?
I made me a little list. I want kind of like it's smallest though, nothing too big. I want this like edging for my lawn when I'm cutting the
Hmm.
grass. It's like a little edger that makes like a. It's not like a weed ear, but you know when you see the. I ain't about to go into the grass. Them people don't want to hear all that. But
Y'all see how somebody act when they get a house, right?
say that,
that
that, bro, I've been in my house, bro.
that man looking at lawn care. He gonna be looking at different
Man, bro,
types
I
of
got
paint,
everything. I
different
got
shades of
everything
white.
by piece. From when I had my from when we was in a townhome,
Uh-huh.
I bought my lawnmower. Then when we bought our house in 2022, I got the weed eater, I got the blower. Well, my wife got the blower. And I upgraded the lawnmower. She bought that for me. Now it's time for me to get the edges so I can have my lawn looking professional. And one Spanish book I want. So I've been
I got
taking
you.
all to learn a little Spanish this year. And I have been very
We
well
get
with it
it
so
down.
far.
How was New
But
York, by the way, before we get really started? Because I know
yeah,
you
y'all
about the
follow
Saints
listeners.
fan.
I did go to the Saints game in New York. If y'all follow me on Twitter or Instagram, y'all see me take a picture with the Giants fans after the game who had bags on their head. I had to indulge in some of that New Orleans ignorance with them because we felt that pain before. But New York was beautiful. We was in. Um, Fun fact, you know, New Jersey has the biggest mall in the U.S.
I did know that. Yeah, because
It's
I've been there
in
before.
Rutherford
Yeah.
where the game was at. It's a minute from the stadium, MetLife Stadium. It's like they got a little bridge that connects both of them.
Hmm.
Man, that's a huge mall. They got everything in there: Nickelodeon theme park, a ice skating rink, and a bunch of other things. So, well, I think you could spend a whole week at that mall by yourself just doing things. That's how big it is. But New York was good, man. Brooklyn was very nice. I enjoyed that. We went to see the Brooklyn Bridge. I would like to go back out there, even though that was my first
Hmm.
time in New York around Christmas time too. So
Yeah.
the lights was out, very packed. Times Square is really like shoulder to
What they
shoulder
say it is.
traffic. Like real shoulder to shoulder traffic. The drivers out there do not care. They're gonna honk when you walk past the car, even though they're not going nowhere. It's traffic in front of them, they still go honk. But man, I enjoyed New York for the first time, and I'm looking forward to going back there. I would like to go back there next year.
Okay.
So, and our Saints fans, we was in New York. I say that our Saints fans was at the game in New York, and the Giants, man, they fans are so they loyal, but they was depressed out there throughout the game. Throughout the game, they were depressed. One guy said, man, I'm leaving if we don't do nothing with this drive. This is the drive where Demario Davis caught the pick.
Yeah.
But I think it ain't over, y'all. Y'all still got three timeouts, and as we know, it wasn't over. They
Yeah.
got the ball back, drove down the field, and by the grace of God, we pulled the Chiefs. We blocked the field goal. But the guy who said he was leaving, they got the ball back, and he came back. He came back. He was like, "Well, all right, we back in it. We back in it." And I was like, "Man, when it, I was praying on an Instagram video as I shot it live, like I did all that just to get that field goal block. That sounded like a tank job to me." But
Yep.
yeah, let's move on, y'all. They thanking for Shadur. We're gonna get into some NFL playoff pictures right now. I got it pulled up. Let me show you
Okay.
guys. Let me pull this up for y'all real quick. Share my screen with y'all. NFL playoff picture. Here we go. As y'all see, the AFC is on the left side. Can you see this right now, Andre?
I can. I got you.
You got it. All right,
Yeah.
cool. Now, as y'all can see, this is the teams who have clinched
Mhm.
playoff spots. And AFC on the left, NFC on the right. We have the Lions first against the Chiefs, both one-loss teams. Um, who did the Chiefs lose to?
That's a good question.
Dang, it was early. Oh, Buffalo.
Yep, that's what it was. Buffalo came
Buffalo. It
in
also
there.
Buffalo. The Lions lost pretty early. I think the Lions were on like a 10-game win streak.
Something like that.
Bills, number 2 seed. Eagles, number 2 seed. Seahawks, 3. Steelers, 3. Texans, 4. Bucks, 4. Which we'll get to that as well because
Mhm.
y'all know we also cover Saints.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not gonna reel off every team. You guys can see it if you're watching it, of course. Y'all see. I'm gonna start off with the AFC first. We're gonna
Okay.
also look at the teams on the bubble. Um, as you can see, the NFC on the bubble, everybody's in it still. Nobody's eliminated.
Right.
Um, the Panthers have 3 wins and they're not eliminated because the NFC South is so bad. But I think they'll be eliminated if they have a loss this week.
Yeah.
So they'll be done. But anything on the AFC that's surprising to you or that you look forward to right now?
Man, I'm looking forward to that that race between the Ravens and the Chargers. I think that 5 and 6 seed is going to be real beneficial because I think the Texans are probably going to win their division,
Mhm,
and between going to Houston and playing them, still a very young team,
mhm,
and having to go to Pittsburgh in the cold, playing against a Mike Tomlin coach team,
mhm.
and Russell Wilson as the veteran quarterback, that's going to be a lot more difficult. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that kind of race is between the Ravens and the Chargers, just
Let me
because I
ask
think
you
the Ravens are out of their division race. I think the Steelers are pretty close to securing that
I was just about to
division.
ask you that, but you said the Steelers could get the number 2 seed and the Bills could fall to 3.
That
So
is true.
that
That
can
is
happen.
true.
And as you said, the Ravens are almost out of their division. I think one more, if they have one more loss and the Steelers win, that'll
Hmm.
pretty much put them out of it. And they have another game against the Steelers, I believe, coming up.
They do.
That's going
They
to be
do.
pretty
Yep.
important for that division. So I still think the Ravens have a chance, but who would you rather play if you're Lamar and the Ravens? Lamar hasn't been too good against Mike Tomlin and the Steelers. So Buffalo versus Steelers of Buffalo. Which one would the Ravens pick? I don't know. You got Superman at
Hmm.
quarterback over there at Buffalo, and you got a well-rounded team every year with Mike Tomlin. No matter who's at quarterback, they're getting a winning season. So, in the Texas man, that's a tough matchup for because TJ definitely in a
Hmm.
sophomore slump this year. So we'll
Yep.
see how they fare in the first round. That division isn't sold up yet.
Yep.
But they're pretty much a win or two away from that.
Yeah.
Any other
Speaking
thing?
of, go down to that 7 seed. So something that's really going to be big this weekend, because I believe the Broncos are 7 seed, right? So
Right.
they're playing the Colts this weekend, and
Mhm.
that could be a game where the Colts get a really good advantage in terms of getting that 7 spot. Because
Right.
let me look at the Broncos remaining
Broncos
schedule.
85.
They're eight and
Um,
five right now, and their remaining schedule after the Colts is Chargers, Bengals, Chiefs, and I have to believe that they aren't favored in either of those games.
yes, but say
Um,
this: they did lose to the Chiefs by uh, a block field goal, and last year
yeah,
they tough as well. They beat them last year. They split with them last year.
that's
And who
true.
else do they have?
And they have the Chargers and they have the Bengals. So,
Oh, yeah.
Bengals still haven't necessarily been eliminated yet, so they're playing for something. And
It's not
obviously, they have that explosive offense. Chargers still playing for something. Obviously, have us currently ranked a little bit above them by I think our
Everybody
tiebreaker.
they playing is playing for something basically.
Yes. So this is probably a game against the Colts that they really have to win. And just kind of looking at the Colts, what they have is that's MLB. Colts have the Broncos, they have the Titans, the Jaguars. I mean, yeah, the Giants. Let me see. The Colts have Broncos, Titans, Giants, and Jaguars. So that's a
All
pretty
takers,
good 4 game stretch where they
all
could finish
takers
four
except
and
for the
zero,
Broncos.
all tanking. So this is in one of their players, I can't remember who it was. He kind of said, "This is our we in the playoff. This is our playoff game. Is win or go home." And that's the type of mentality they playing with over in Indianapolis. So this is indeed a playoff game because Broncos are going to need to kind of get a little edge based on what their remaining 3 games look like. And on paper, right? On paper, and that means nothing. The Colts look like they have a pretty good path to the playoffs, and I don't know what the Dolphins' schedule is, but I think they have a pretty tough stretch. Let me see.
I'll say this: the Dolphins have a tough schedule. And also we're on right now NFL.com. They give the probability of these teams making the playoffs. If the Broncos, the Colts, it says 90% chance of making the playoffs. So I think pretty much the AFC is wrapped up. I think, hold on, these dogs are. They're going at it, but I think the AFC. I would say the AFC playoff picture is wrapped up. I do believe the Broncos are going to beat the Colts. I think the Colts could have saved their season if they didn't play around with the quarterback so much early in the season.
Yeah.
Flacco and starting Richardson, going to Flacco, and then switching to Flacco. If you're going to, I don't think the Colts believe they were going to be in playoff contention. So they're like, oh, since we're in playoff contention, let's go with Flacco, basically what the Browns did last year.
Yeah.
And until Flacco had that bad game. And started throwing picks back to back to back. So I think if they would have stuck with one guy, they'll probably have another win or two added to their schedule, which would really help them. They're down 2 games, and losing this one is basically like you said.
Right.
That one is going to be pretty hard for them to get in the playoffs if they lose this game. So I think the 7 teams for the AFC is wrapped up. I think it's just all about the seeding after that because it looks like the AFC West is going to have 3 teams in.
Yeah. So that's a good segue in terms of like what's your prediction of the 7 AFC spots? Who you got like in the ranking order?
I'm gonna say Chiefs. I think Chiefs. Dang, because the Steelers and the Bills play tough teams this week. Bills play the red hot Lions. Steelers play the red hot Eagles. I'm gonna go with Chiefs. Where the Bills play Detroit? Where the Bills play Detroit? Let me see.
The Bills play Detroit in Detroit.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Detroit on that one. This is tough. Chiefs, Steelers, Bills. No, I can't put the Steelers at 2. I don't think the Steelers are going to get 2.
All right, so you're gonna stick with the Bills at 2?
You know what? I'm gonna go Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, Texans, Steelers at 5, and I'm gonna go I'm gonna go Broncos 6, Chargers 7. So I got the Ravens jumping up to 2. I think the Ravens going to win out, and I think the Steelers are going to lose against Philly and the Ravens, and that's going to make the Ravens jump them in the standings. And the Ravens already beat the Bills, so I think they're going to have the tiebreak over the Bills.
Okay.
If not,
so
I believe the Bills or the Ravens are going to be the 2 seed.
Okay.
I don't think the Steelers are going to get to the 2 seed.
Okay. So I'm gonna tell you mine. I got KC, obviously. Then I got the Steelers.
Okay.
Then I got the Bills. I have
Texans.
The Colts, actually. Sneaking in. I got the Colts winning the AFC South. Then 5 Ravens. 6, I'll stay with Houston. And 7, I'll go with the Chargers.
No love for Sean Payton over here. I see.
It's a little bit too tough for them down the stretch with teams playing for something. So
okay, all I see is if they beat the Colts, that's how I got to it. It's
I
all
got
about
you.
this year. It's all about this week. For the Colts and Broncos, and I don't think the Colts are going to win out. So no matter what their schedule is, I just think Anthony Richardson he's developing. He's not consistent yet, so I'll say the least of that. I want to get your take on one team down here that's been a disappointment. I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
mention the Dolphins because they was hurt early with Tua. The
Yeah.
Bengals, what are
Mm-hmm.
they going? Yeah, looks like they're going to get a good pick. We appreciate the 8 people who are in here watching right now. We are live on YouTube and Twitter. But where do the Bengals go from here?
I mean, they're gonna have to go try to rebuild their defense. And obviously gotta get their offensive guys paid. I think I was talking to someone earlier today, and I said they're suffering from cheap ownership. You saw a lot of their good defensive players. Jesse Bates is somebody that comes to mind that they just
Mhm,
let walk away in free agency and didn't really get anything from them. Tried to draft guys at those positions that just haven't panned out. And Joe Burrow is having an MVP type year,
mhm.
and it doesn't matter. And so I think they got to
Minus
get
of the
fixed.
degrees.
Yeah, but for sure, and they got to get fixed on the defensive side of the ball. Trey Henderson, I believe, is going to be a free agent too. So we got to figure out what's going on that front because he may walk and go somewhere else in free agency too. But that's kind of where they have to get better. And obviously you got to pay Jamar Chase. They're
T.
probably going to let T. Higgins go.
He's
And
going
if
to
you let
walk.
T. Higgins go, who's that guy next to Jamar Chase? So there's going to be a lot of soul searching of what they want to be as an organization, but their ownership group is going to have to start paying people because that was a championship roster a couple of years ago, and to see them kind of fall off, more specifically on the defensive side of the ball, is not a good thing. So they have to kind of get that right while Joe and Jamar are still in their prime.
Mhm. Um, don't matter to me. They could give Trey and T. Higgins to the Saints. That's a position of need. Both of the positions are a position of need for us.
Yeah.
Um, sidebar. Do you think T. Higgins is a number one receiver?
I think he is. I think
Okay,
he is.
gotcha.
I think he's showing those qualities that he can be that.
So you think he's going to get a $30 million a year contract, Brandon Ayuk type contract?
I don't know if it's going to be quite Brandon Ayuk, especially because he hasn't had as good of a year this year.
Mhm,
In a year where you're trying to get paid, whereas Brandon Ayuk had some career high numbers last year. So, not only was he looking good to the 49ers in terms of the market they were trying to get him in, but he was
mhm,
looking good from the NFL standpoint or league standpoint. And there were a lot of teams trying to get his services. Um, so when you think of some wide receiver needy teams like us, Carolina obviously is a wide receiver needed team. You can look at a team like Chicago that still wants to add to their talent group to go along with Caleb Williams at quarterback. So
Yeah, we don't
there's
know.
going to be some options for them. Hell, there's some options within the division in Baltimore, and them still trying to find a number one wide receiver for Lamar Jackson. So there are some teams that'll be willing to pay, but we'll see what comes of it when it comes to T. Higgins.
Okay, gotcha. We're gonna move on, y'all, to the NFC side of the bracket.
Mm-hmm.
I scroll back up here, you guys. Rams got a big win last night against the 49ers, basically almost for certainly, most likely put them out of their misery. Um, they had an injury riddled season, but we're gonna start from the top with the two hottest
Mm-hmm.
teams in the NFL right now. On the NFC side,
Mm-hmm.
Lions and the Eagles, but the Eagles have a little trouble in paradise with the wide receiver divas, AJ
Mm-hmm.
Brown and Jalen Hurts aren't getting together, and Brandon Graham dropped the news. The Seahawks number 3
Mm-hmm.
again, steady with Geno. Another year of Geno, the Geno resurgence, man, has came
Mm-hmm.
to light. Back, found his starting job, and kind of like Baker. Geno and Baker like same boats, high draft picks. Baker was the number 1 pick, and they found their homes. Looked like it was Seattle and Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings are the number 2 seed. I mean, the number 5 seed at 11-2, and the
Mm-hmm.
Packers are the number 6 seed at 9-4. All NFC North teams, and the Commanders round out the
Mm-hmm.
picture with 8-5 record. Rams right in the hunt. They're on the Seahawks, but The
Mm-hmm.
Falcons have just collapsed and let Tampa Bay get this division. Cardinals, 49ers, Saints,
Mm-hmm.
5-8. Cowboys blew a game. They're 5-8. The Bears, 4
Mm-hmm.
still in the hunt. And the Panthers are still in the hunt at 3-10.
Mm-hmm.
Now, looks like I'm gonna ask you the same question. Anything that stands out on the NFC side?
Um, I would say obviously obviously we go to NFC South and the collapse that the Atlanta Falcons have experienced. What they've lost 4 in a row or something like
Yeah,
that.
Kirk Cousins 8 interceptions in those 4 games.
Yeah. So
0 touchdowns.
zero to that's crazy. So I didn't expect a collapse like that. If you remember, kind of like in the early when we did the preseason predictions,
Mm-hmm.
I thought this would be the time of year where the Falcons get better and just end up having a decent record, but not necessarily a record that gets them to the postseason. But it's kind of been the flip side. They started out winning games that you didn't think that they would win, had a really sizable lead in the NFC South race, mainly because of the Buccaneers playing a first place schedule and dealing with injuries to their wide receiver core. And with this collapse, Buccaneers are kind of at the top of the South right now. So I'm interested to see what that race looks like because
It's not to cut you off, Trey, but
yeah,
it's pretty interesting. I don't think they won since we beat them.
they haven't. They
Yeah,
haven't.
the Saints didn't send them off. Saints sent them into a losing streak.
Really, that's kind of what's happened, and and like I still think the Saints are going to end up beating the Buccaneers at some point this season. So I can kind of see Buccaneers and Falcons going down to the wire. See if the Falcons end up getting a grip on their season. According to the coach, they're going to stick with Kirk Cousins and not going to make a move to Michael Penix Jr. yet. So that'll be interesting in that race, and then that Rams Seahawks race because the Seahawks are separated by a tiebreaker right now, and they play a game this week. They play against Green Bay, a team that's in the playoff hunt. So if the Seahawks lose that game, then the Rams take the top spot in that NFC West. So that's something in my mind to keep an eye on. And of course, the Vikings and the Detroit Lions are kind of what and what from a win-loss record standpoint. So that's going to be something. It's just kind of a really tight race to your point. You say like everybody in the NFC technically still has something to play for, even our New Orleans Saints. But some of these big races are getting tight. NFC South between Bucks and Falcons, NFC North between Vikings and Detroit, NFC West between Seahawks and Rams. And it's almost like these teams have to play playoff football every week or they can find themselves on the outside. So it's going to be some good football on the NFC side of the bracket, I think, going forward.
Every division in the NFC is up for grabs except for the NFC East with Philly. I think they have that under control. 3 games clear of Washington. So every other thing though is up for grabs, and I find it very ironic that the same team that everybody we like to see last year the Green Bay game, everybody wants to point to that, but me and you like to see the Saints still had a chance to win this division if they beat the Rams, and they lost to the same team again.
Yep.
They didn't get embarrassed. Granted, it's a different coach, it's Dan Rizzi, but I think that was a winnable game.
Very winnable game. Yep.
It was a very winnable game and they'll be in such better position to win this division if they beat the Rams.
They'd be 6-7.
Yes, 2 weeks ago they'd be 6-7 with a matchup with the Bucks coming up. Already beat the Falcons, that'll just be another. It looks like the team from the NFC South will be getting in the playoffs with 9 wins again, basically. So. A missed opportunity there. I think we saw some mistakes by Rizzi that game. But hey, rookie head coach taking over, you can give some leeway for that, but some things are unexcusable. But I'm gonna move on. We'll get to the Saints a little bit later. Something that stands out to me is this NFC North. I don't think nobody, even the biggest Darnold fan, and I'm a USC fan. I was a fan of Darnold coming out. He came to Carolina. I can't root for nobody. The only guy I ever rooted for in the same division as me Well, I should say two guys. Julio Jones. I
Mhm.
used to love Julio Jones coming out of Bama, man. I played with him on NCAA before they had names on
Mhm.
the And I'm sorry, y'all. Cam. Cam, bro. I just rooted for Cam. Cam was my favorite player on Madden. I couldn't root for him when he played the Saints, but any other
Yeah.
week I was rooting for Cam, man. If anybody remember that Super Bowl season, MVP season, y'all know that was legendary. But this NFC North, the Vikings at 11-2, Detroit at 12-1, and the Packers at 9-4. With the Vikings playing Chicago and like you said, Seattle playing the Packers,
Mhm.
I think one of these teams will flip. I don't think it'll stay like this.
Yeah,
I think the
I agree.
Vikings. I think the Vikings, if they beat Chicago, because Chicago is they're like the Saints. They lost 7 in a row now.
Mhm.
Just they losing in the middle of the season. If the Vikings win this game, I think they wrap up. They stay clear of the Packers and they wrap up probably the fifth seed. But we don't
Mhm.
know what Detroit's gonna do against the
Yeah.
Bills. I picked Detroit to beat the Bills at home,
Yeah.
but you never know. The Bills are very viable opponent. They put up a lot of points
Mhm.
that game. I forgot who the Bills played. What Josh Allen had like 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So you never know. That's a toss-up game with the Lions and Bills. But this NFC North, I think that we might have a representative in the Super Bowl from this division. Do you
Mhm.
think the Vikings get enough credit for what they're doing right now? Everybody wants to put them on the back burner because Sam Darnold is the quarterback.
Yeah, they aren't. And then to your point, it's because Sam Donald's the quarterback, and they're like, "Oh, it's gonna be a matter of time." And like, the dude keeps playing, playing well coached team. Obviously, we know what Coach Flores is doing on the defensive side of the ball, and some of the talent they have on that side of the ball, and they're just winning games, and they're
Yeah,
doing it in multiple ways. They obviously Aaron Jones coming over from Green Bay has been beneficial to their run game. You have Jettas at wide receiver one. Jordan Addison had a big game
mm-hmm.
last game.
TJ
Uh,
Hawkins.
yeah, they're good at the tight end department. So they have a really good team. And I think they need to start being taken a little bit more seriously.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not mad at that. Who the Washington Commanders started off hot.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel suffered a rib injury. And they slowed down for a couple games, but they got their feet back on them and
Yeah.
like they're gonna hold on to the seventh seed. But we never know. The Rams are
Yeah.
right there. So they have to keep winning. The Rams just beat the 49ers last night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, last night. So do you think the Commanders hold on to the seventh spot with the Rams right on their trail?
I do not. They lost 3 of the last 4,
Uh-huh.
and they have some really good teams. Like when I look at who they have to go against, obviously they're going up against us. But let me look at that schedule again. They have us,
I
they
got it
have the
right.
Eagles, they have
Mhm.
the Falcons, they have the Cowboys. And you can say, okay, well, they'll beat the Saints and the Falcons. But then you're playing the Eagles who are still trying to play for that top seed. And
Mhm.
you just playing the Cowboys who just playing because you are division rival and we want to beat you.
And the
So
Cowboys just
you,
beat them.
huh?
Cowboys just beat them at Thanksgiving, I believe.
Yeah, they did.
Mhm.
And if you go 2-2 and you finish the season 10-7, and let's say a Seahawks team or a Rams teams finishes 10-7,
Mhm.
they may get that nod. I'm not sure what the tiebreaker situation is, but I could see those teams maybe getting the nod and having some of those tiebreakers. So that'd be interesting.
I'll say this: it says if they lose, they still have 59% of making the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
If they win, 88%. So it looks like a lot is riding on this game with New Orleans. And
Mm-hmm.
our little friend, Marshawn Lattimore, will be playing for the first time in a Commanders uniform against the New Orleans Saints. And you saw his comments. He said, "Yeah, I'm not gonna sit up here and I'm paraphrasing, but he said, in quote, you're not gonna sit up here and act like it, you don't think about that. They traded me away. I'm assuming he's talking about BA and Mickey Loomis.
Well, most of Mega Loomis DA was already fired, so
Well, yeah, well, Mickey Loomis. Yeah, you did say if DA get fired, Lattimore was getting traded. You called that. So Mickey Loomis, he said they traded me away. And he said, "So I'm going to show him. I'm going to show up and show him why they should never trade him." So, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, it is what it is. My thing is like, bro, like the writing was kind of on the wall anyway, and it's not as if you didn't play a part in and won out at certain points in time too. So it wasn't like they just made a decision. But I guess it's how you're supposed to feel, and just don't throw his way. That's pretty
Hey,
much all I can say.
this ain't Derek Carr. He would have definitely thrown him a pick. But this Jake Haener, we got somebody who's doesn't have a lot of tape out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a feeling he's gonna put the ball in there.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm talking about. I'm at the point what the Saints is, not the sidebar, but let's see what the quarterbacks got.
Yeah.
Throw the ball 30 times a game. Just let at least, please, do not run Kamara into the ground this year. Let him get his 1,000 yards rushing because he hasn't had that. I think his whole career yet. It's really crazy that he hasn't. I don't want. I think I want to fact check that, but let me check that because I don't want to misquote myself. But I don't think Kamara is at 1,000 yards rushing.
He's not yet. He needed 894 going into last game.
All right, yeah. So, I think he's going to get it this year. If he stays healthy. Yeah. Kamara is definitely at a bounce. Oh yeah, he has 938 right now, so he'll definitely get that if he stays healthy. Don't want to jinx him.
But I know you got to segue in the thing. But let me get your 7 NFC teams for the playoffs.
Oh Lord, putting me under the microscope again. We're gonna go with first 2 lock. Let's leave that there. I'm gonna go. You can pull up the Rams schedule for me.
Yeah,
because that's gonna determine if I pick the Rams or the Seahawks. Who's gonna get in?
Okay. Rams have in this order: Jets on the road, Cardinals at home, Seahawks at home.
And who the Seahawks have? Green Bay, Rams, and who else?
Let's see. Seahawks have the Packers, the Vikings, the Bears, and the Rams.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Rams at the 3 seed.
Okay.
The 4 seed. One more. Give me the Bucs schedule.
Okay. Let's see. Bucks have the Chargers. They have the Chargers on the road, Cowboys on the road, and they finished the last 2 at home against the Panthers and the Saints.
I'm thinking they're going 2-2. 2-2. That's 9 wins. Lions, Eagles, Rams, Vikings, Packers. Last 2 teams. It's gonna be Commanders or the Seahawks. I don't know. I'm gonna go to Commanders.
Well, it can't be the Commanders because they're not a division. So it's basically who you think is gonna win the NFC South at the 4.
No, the Commanders the 17.
Yeah, but you didn't tell me who the 4.
Oh yeah, I'm saving the 4 because I don't know the Bucks or the Falcons. I just skipped them. So.
I'll tell you.
I put the Rams at 3, the Vikings at 5, or 5 or 6 doesn't matter. And my last team is the Commanders or the Seahawks. I don't know who I want to pick. I think the Commanders are going to beat the Saints this week. Of course I'm a Saints fan, but I just can't see Jake Haener coming in first start and winning a game where the Commanders have a lot to fight for right now. So I'm going to go with the Commanders at 7. And the Seahawks missing out. I think the Rams they beat the 49ers. And you say they had I forgot the game, but there was 2 soft teams that you mentioned on this schedule. Oh, you say the Cardinals, I forgot the Cardinals and a couple other teams.
And they play the Seahawks too. So and they play the Jets.
I think the Rams are gonna win out. So
okay.
I think they're gonna finish with 11 wins and take over that 3rd spot.
I got you.
But I could be wrong, y'all. And as much as I hate to say it, the Bucks repeat as champs. Lord Jesus.
Okay. Yeah, and that's kind of. I mean, it's kind of yours is kind of similar to mine. I got the Eagles taking the top seed eventually. I got the Vikings actually getting that 2nd seed on the last game of the year against Detroit. and
Okay.
winning that game. Rams at 3, Bucks at 4, Lions at 5, Packers at 6, Seahawks at 7.
Okay. So you got Commanders out and Seahawks in. Do you think the
Mhm.
Commanders going to beat the Saints this week then?
I think they should. If they will.
A running quarterback.
Yeah, yeah, running quarterback, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Dennis Allen isn't the head play caller anymore, and we'll
Mhm.
see how Joe Woods tries to defend against that. So
Okay. Um, that looks like I asked you surprising team at the bottom of the
mhm.
AFC. Any surprise at the NFC at the bottom?
I would say the 49ers, but I mean
Been
um
injured.
yeah,
Right.
they got injured. Yeah. So that changes that for me. But it in a typical sense it would be the 49ers, but they have just been ravaged by injuries, so it's really not a surprise.
Does Kirk Cousins, does Brock Purdy get paid this year?
I would make him play on the last year of his deal if I was them.
Okay. What is your outlook on Brock Purdy? Do you think he's a guy who can get a team?
Really, really solid starting quarterback in the league.
Mhm,
I think there has to be a price that you just don't go over.
mhm,
Um, because we've seen the 49ers have success with okay quarterbacks.
mhm.
And they may look to do that again because if Bryce is trying to get the Trevor Lawrence money,
Dak Prescott.
the 50s, that type of money, you can't pay him that because you're seeing that he's not a guy that can elevate the talent around him. He was a 7-round pick, so it's not as if you invested draft capital in terms of like a first round pick or anything like that. Like let's say a Jaguars put into Trevor Lawrence or a New York Giants put into Daniel Jones that in their minds warranted the payday. You spent the 7-round pick on this guy. He was Mr. Irrelevant. And yes, he's had some success. You've had some success as a team, but it's not success that you haven't seen before. At the end of the day, you still don't have a Super Bowl victory yet.
Mhm,
And so I don't think there's anything that he's done to say I need to be, in the Dak Prescott uh, um, or those types of contracts and resetting the market. So there's going to have to be a contract where they both find common ground, unless next year he just goes crazy and gets him to not just the playoffs, but a Super Bowl and maybe even a Super Bowl win. And then you can make that decision then.
Okay. We're gonna switch over to the NBA, which is really having a problem with ratings right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm gonna share the NBA Cup bracket just like I did the NFL playoffs. Can you see that, Trey?
Yep, I can see it.
We had some good games, man, in the first round. Rockets and Warriors was a nail biter. Who says people don't love defense? 91-90 game. I will watch that all day, all night over a 138 to a 140 game.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
And I got you. Thunder Mavs. We got Thunder and Rockets, Bucks and Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
He did his thing, of course, in the Garden again. That's like a staple of his career now. He then took over Reggie Miller and Spike Lee. Bucks, Hawks, Thunder, Rockets. What's your predictions?
I'll take the two top seeds. I'll take Thunder and the Bucks.
Mhm,
I know the Thunder they obviously don't have Chet yet, but they got Hardenstein back. They've been one of the better teams in the league. SGA is an MVP candidate, and I just think they have the better overall roster and just players that you can kind of go to. Rockets are surprising some people this year with their team and how their young guys are playing. But I just think the Thunder match up well and they just have a few guys that you can just kind of go to when the game is on the line that can kind of carry them over the top. When it comes to the Bucks and the Hawks, Doc Quivers has done something right. Those guys, Damian Lillard, Giannis Antetokounmpo are doing well. They got Chris Middleton back, so I think that's kind of helped spark a little bit more too. Obviously, he's not the guy he's been before
mhm,
early in his career, and especially with his Bucks tenure but he's still a veteran and a leader in that locker room. And so having him back has been good. And you've seen the Bucks kind of turn their season around because they were looking at top pick territory early on. And I think they just have a few more horses on both sides of the ball, offensive and defensively,
mhm.
that they can kind of cut the Hawks' water off a little bit. and take that. So I think Thunder and Bucks, and then I'll go with the Bucks to win the NBA Cup this year.
Okay, Bucks are 13-11. Hawks are 14-12. So they're basically same thing. I was
Mm-hmm.
just playing a game. I think a game more. But I'll say this: the Bucks have turned this season around. I don't think they turned around too much because it was so horrible, but it looks like they just got back to where they should be. They played a soft part of their schedule, so that means coming up in towards the later part of the season, they're gonna have a tougher schedule down the
Mm-hmm.
line. I'd like to see how they play against that. As the schedule gets tougher, see how Dave and Giannis play off each other during when games are tight at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Because their connection hasn't been great all the time. But I'm gonna go with the Rockets winning this shit.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the Rockets winning. They're feisty. They got the they have the grit that I love with
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Brooks. They have a staple in the middle of their lineup with Shingun to
Mm-hmm.
battle Isaiah Hartenstein. And they also have some young guys, man, high flyers. Jalen Green. They have a veteran presence in Van Fleet. And Jabari Smith is coming along as well as a top pick a couple of years ago. So I like that young talent.
Okay.
And Ime Udoka has always preaches defense, and he got them guys playing out there. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with the Rockets taking his over the Hawks.
Okay.
Over the Hawks, man. I think Trae Young gonna do it again. So
Well, I
that's
need
what
the
I'm
Hawks.
going with.
I need the Hawks to start losing. Like I think they forgot that the Spurs on their first round pick. I need them to
Hey, bro, you want
get
their
to this
first round
point.
pick and Trae Young?
Yes, I want it
Oh, that's
all.
what
Why
you gonna
can't
do.
I?
You gonna swap it? You gonna swap the pick for Trae Young?
No, I
That's
mean,
what
hell,
you're gonna
I might, but I don't know. Cooper Flag looking nice. Cooper Flag and Ace Bailey, hooked them up with Wimby. Might be cooking with something.
Everybody, you
So we'll
can't
see.
heard that. That we since I got Trey got a little bit of time, we're gonna roll and go to Jake Haener, starting over our guy Spencer Rattler, man. What was your thoughts on this?
I
Jake
mean,
Haener.
look, I'm excited for Hey Now, who how I call him. Like I saw this coming. I knew when there was going to be an opportunity again. Didn't know whether it was going to be benching or injury, but
Mhm.
injury is probably more likely. That we were going to be in the situation again that we were early in the year, where it was, are we going to go with Jake Haener or Spencer Rattler? They went with Spencer Rattler. Started 3 games, lost all 3 games, had some highs and some lows, and obviously didn't end well because he ended up getting benched for Jake in that final start. And so I kind of got an idea that if they came to that again,
Mhm.
and depending on where they were in the season, they were going to give Jake an opportunity. And that's all you can ask for. And he kind of mentioned today, hey man, like I'm gonna let it rip. What do we have to lose? We're 5-8. I'm gonna get it done and do what I can and show folks that I'm ready and why I got this opportunity. And we'll see. You talk a big game, but there's been moments where we've seen you in the game and you just haven't shown much. You look like a deer in the headlights. You look like the moment has been too big for you. And this is his opportunity, a week of practice, knowing that he's the guy that's going to be starting against Washington. Let's see if he does something. If he doesn't, you hope that you get to see Spencer Rattler again at some point this season because a lot is riding on the two of them. Because if they show any ounce of promise, then we're looking at a 2025 draft where we can look at other areas to maybe build around them. But if they don't show anything or show that they might be okay, like they can come in if you need them to, but not be your franchise guy, then I think we start to look elsewhere to improve the quarterback room and the quarterback position. So a lot is riding on not just these guys' careers, but I think the direction of the Saints organization going forward. But I wasn't surprised. I'm happy for him to have an opportunity. Now it's about, what are you going to do with it? Like I told somebody, I'm not going to hate watch Jake Haener. Like I know how people were watching Spencer
Right.
Rattler and they just wanted him to be bad so they could talk about how bad he was. And, I bet y'all miss Derek Carr and all that type of, like, I'm not going to be doing that with Jake. And I didn't like that being done to Spencer Rattler either. And so they're going to get support, but you got to earn that support. It's only going to last until it doesn't last.
It's gonna last to halftime. You're gonna see all the tweets. Get this man out of here. Put Rattler. As soon as you see 1 or 2 bad plays, it'll be like, oh my God. he can't see over the offensive line. Y'all don't do that, man. We had Drew Brees who threw on his tippy toes for about 15 years with the Saints. So give Jake a shot, even though I rather see Spencer getting meaningful reps right now because I think these are meaningful reps. Because us winning a couple games will take us out of drafting a quarterback in the first round for me. If I don't think we should be drafting a quarterback first round, pick 17 or 18. I wouldn't mind it, I wouldn't mind seeing it, but just getting something that late, unless somebody slips, a great quarterback slip, you more knowledgeable about the college football quarterbacks. But from what I'm seeing, there's not too many out there who's gonna be like changing it. Who's gonna step in and probably do better than these guys at the moment?
Right. The guy that stands out for this team and where we may be position wise in the draft, and even looking forward to kind of getting back into the draft. If like we end up with a top 10 pick, I don't think we pick him there. But Jalen Milroe is a guy that I believe that they're looking at, and that some of the head coaching candidates that we may be bringing in, they've been paying close attention to what's going on in Tuscaloosa. I think, once you started winning games, you took yourself out of the Shador and Cam Ward sweepstakes, but you still get a guy, maybe in Jalen Milroe. I've heard Dylan Gabriel's name kind of pinned out too. But I think you get anybody that.
What are they projecting? What round? What
Dylan Gabriel was more second, third round ish. 5-year senior. He's played a lot of. I think he's played in more games than anyone in the history of college football, and that could be a good or bad thing, right? That means you may not have been good enough to get to the league earlier, right? But he did have some situation. Yeah, and he did have some injury issues early in his career when he played for Central Florida, but was relatively healthy in his 2 years in Oklahoma and his 1 year or to date at Oregon. So, who knows where you're getting those guys? I think there's still a lot of unknowns in this quarterback class, but for me, I say if it's not Shador, Cam, or Jalen, I think you're pretty much drafting a quarterback that's going to get destroyed by Spencer Rattler in quarterback competition. That's kind of what I see it as.
That was going to be my question when you mentioned Melrose. Do you think he's better than Spencer will be second year Spencer?
I think so. I just think of what you need in this day and age in the quarterback position, and thinking about the guys that will come in and what they like in the quarterback position. I think you just go and go that route with Jalen. I don't even know if he ends up being better than Spencer, but I don't even know if Spencer even gets that opportunity in New Orleans if we draft a quarterback that high, right? And that's why I say, like, if you end up getting quarterbacks in the third and fourth round and stuff, then you're saying, okay, we still want competition. And, he can, have another year in his belt. The game may be slowing down for him a little bit. He may have that advantage. Again, we thought Jake might have that advantage over Spencer Rattler coming in, and Jake didn't have that advantage. So
we'll see. We'll see. I think he didn't have it in
preseason, right?
Yeah, and the coaches have eyes, but we'll see on the field. We'll see if the game is slowed down, because he really hasn't gotten no meaningful reps in the NFL game. So I think this will be good for him. But if we're gonna draft a quarterback in second, third round, I'd rather us just keep the two guys. If you're gonna replace Haener, and get another quarterback in there to compete with Rattler, or if whatever we do with Carr this offseason, I don't know, but I'd rather us take the direction of us if we're gonna flip our cap sheet around, take all the money this year. Just roll with one of these young guys. I don't care who it is. I'd rather Rattler. I wouldn't be mad at a quarterback being drafted, because that means we pick the direction of where we want to go. But obviously, we're not rebuilding as they say we're retooling. So I'm just looking forward to this game, though. I actually might go to the game. Free tickets. I won't be paying for the Saints anymore this year, y'all. So I paid to go to New York, but that was the experience, y'all. It wasn't a game. It was for the experience. The game was a bonus. But yeah. Any other thing you want to touch on, man?
Not really, not right now, man. Like we said, trying to figure out what the Saints are doing. There's been a lot of draft prospects talked about. There's been a lot of head coaching candidates talked about. And the thing is, while the Saints can probably be the most predictable organization in the world, I kind of am praying that they decide to be unpredictable this year. I think the predictable hire, right, would be Aaron Glenn. Or it's a guy that played here and coached there a long time, and he knows the system and he knows the building. But maybe a guy like Ben Johnson, who in a way still knows some of the culture because he is under a guy that was in your building and Dan Campbell and works with Aaron Glenn every day. Or hell, do you go get a Ken Dillingham from the college ranks? Like, are you looking at college coaches? Are you looking at Ken Dorsey or Joe Brady, whoever it might be? Just give me somebody that it may be unpredictable, but at the end of the day, I can say, that makes a little sense. I can get behind that. But it's kind of the same old, and this continuity thing. And that's not even saying that Aaron Glenn would be a bad coach. I think he's a great coach candidate, but it almost just feels redundant. And like we're going through the same thing over and over again. And I just don't want to feel that way going into next offseason. I want to feel refreshed. There's just a whole new mindset of the type of team we're going to be.
That's that Belichick way. All his coordinators get hired, they wind up back on him after failed stints. That's usually how it goes. But man, hopefully we hire somebody innovative. We went that route with getting a new guy in the offensive coordinator, Clint. We hired outside of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Mickey Loomis has a lot to prove to this fan base because we in the fan base are on edge, and we need to see a winning team because not 3 straight losing seasons, but 3 straight missing the playoffs is getting real dreadful in New Orleans, and he better do something real fast to give him something. The fans will take a one and done in the playoffs right now after the way we starving because Drew Brees and Sean Payton did spoil us. So Mickey Loomis get it together. Sidebar before we get out of here. What do you think of the Bill Belichick hire? Quickly.
I like it.
The college ranks, man.
I mean, look, man, college is kind of like a mid-tier NFL program now, as it is. And a guy that knows what it takes to get to that level is going to be beneficial to these kids. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I love it. And, he can do this for a year or two, go back to the NFL, win his 15 games to get the record and retire, go off in the sunset with his 20-year-old girlfriend. And there it is. I mean, we got to keep him, we got to have some certain things in the contract with him on a college campus because clearly there's a pattern. So we got to figure that out. And we don't need any type of, compliance issues. But other than that, from a football standpoint, it's good. It's good to see the GOAT coaching again.
I won't say nothing. You won't say nothing. We know why Bill on that college campus, man. Come on, man. Stop playing, man. Come on now. We're going to leave y'all with that. I ain't saying nothing yet. We just putting the hands up, Trey. We know why you on that campus, man. Bayou Ballers Podcast, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll have another show with y'all next week. You predicted the Saints lose? Because you gave it a half answer. You said, I don't think Washington should.
You know what? I'm gonna give him the L. I mean, for my health, I probably need them to lose because if they win, then it's gonna be they got a chance. And I can't. Just play the game. I don't even care about the Saints win or lose.
Just throw the ball 35 times and put up some points for us, please. But that is the Bayou Ballers Podcast. Happy Friday, y'all. Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas. We will have an episode before Christmas, y'all. So y'all have a good day. Well, good night.